Stars fly, they say. In the mirror I gaze. Truth is what I see. In reality's place. Shattered glass it lies. Reflecting only lies. Where's the truth we see?
Hi folks, welcome back to my channel. My channel's called You Think. And I want you to reason and think and draw your own conclusions. In this video, I'm going to give you undeniable evidence and proof that we're living on a flat earth and that the sun is moving. And how we're going to do this is we're going to use your frame of reference and the sun's path. And it's undeniable and you cannot debunk it. We're also going to look at the issue with the education system. So simple observations don't align with what the education system teaches us. And remember, what you see is what you get. You can question what you are observing. You can question these things and put them to the test. So this is what I want you to do. So the education system. We look at the word inception, right? That's the establishment, the starting point of your education. We're going to look at a video clip from the movie Inception and apply it to what we are learning along the way. Try and put a bit of perspective on what's going on. So let's start our journey and let's pay attention.
Well, imagine you're designing a building, right? You consciously create each aspect. But sometimes it feels like it's almost creating itself, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, like I'm discovering it.
Genuine inspiration.
So you can be mesmerized and inspired, right? And I'll tell you just to memorize what you've been taught. What does this actually mean? To inspire. To influence or guide through divine or supernatural agencies of power, right? There's a problem because it has to do with control. So inspired by who? And mesmerized, to be spellbound and hypnotized. But for what purpose? So inspired by what? For what purpose? So we need to question these things. Is there a motive behind people deceiving you? And obviously there is. All right, so let's look at the actual evidence itself. Here's video footage. It's a 48-hour time lapse. We're only going to look at the 24 hours. We see the sun rise and set, and there's your frame of reference. That's your viewpoint. Right, and there's the moon in that same frame of reference. So let's analyze this. Look, if you're living on a spinning ball, the Earth has to rotate in that 12 hours and also move 2.6 million kilometers within that 24-hour period. And then the moon moves with the Earth. So if your camera can observe the sun, you're living on a ball. Your camera will be facing one direction. So as the Earth moves and it rotates, your camera has to turn. And at sunset, you must be facing the same direction. Right? If you're on a ball, you have to turn your camera around to face the opposite direction so that you can see the moon. Right? So it doesn't matter where the moon is, which phase it is in, you would still need to turn your camera around because one side of the ball is light and the other side is dark. You'd have to turn your camera around. So let's add our frame of reference to that. Your frame of reference would be in front of you, at sunset behind you. You'd have to turn your camera around and your frame of reference would move again behind you. If you're on a ball, it's impossible to see the sun for 12 hours or the moon for the 12-hour period. Right. So that footage shows you you're not living on a ball. So does it prove that the Earth is not moving? Absolutely. Does it prove the Earth is flat? Yes. How? Let's have a look. Let's get back onto the education system. I'm not a big fan. For me, the education system is just to school you and fool you. It doesn't create observant people. Most of the time, the majority of the people are just dazed and confused and they just go along with the nonsense without questioning it. Right? They're happy to pass and go get a job. And you live your whole life dazed and confused. No, For me, I've got a problem with that. I'd rather be observant and draw my own conclusions in life. And this footage, I see my frame of reference, tells me that the earth is flat and that the sun is moving. That's the path of the sun's motion. So if you're on a ball, if you're turning, that ball is rotating, you can't see the sun and moon rise in front of you in your same frame of reference. It's impossible. Doesn't matter where you put the moon and what orbit and what phase the moon is in, it's impossible. Right? It's your frame of reference, and the path of the sun tells you the earth is flat and the sun and the moon are moving, not the earth. Right, so let's add in some details that they mesmerize and inspire you with. Let's add in some of those details. There's your frame of reference, right? From the rising of the sun to the setting of the sun, what distance are you looking at? Well, that would be 300 million kilometers. What is your frame of reference? Well, it would be 20 kilometers. And the ball earth you're standing on is 30 kilometers. That's the horizon you're seeing in front of you. Do you see the problem? What would be the height of the sun above the horizon? 150 million kilometers. You see, at this point, you should be laughing at what the education system is telling you. You should be laughing at them because it's complete nonsense. Look, take your frame of reference. If you've got 20 kilometers, they'll say an airplane flies at 33,000 feet. So let's say 9 kilometers. You can put that airplane within your frame of reference. Now look at where the sun is. Do you see the problem? The numbers and what they're telling you doesn't add up. In your frame of reference, it's not possible for you to see what we see. If I take a circle, right, that will be the orbit path. So due to perspective, if we look at the video footage, we see the sun is actually rising up, coming towards you. Look at the shadows. The sun is coming towards you, circling around you. Look at the shadows. Now the sun starts moving away from you because the shadows fall on the opposite side. Right. On a ball earth, this doesn't happen. You can't see the sun that's supposed to be 150 million kilometers in front of you. So let's look at it from the side. The sun is supposed to be 150 million kilometers in front of you. Let's look at that footage again. You see the sun rise. It's circling above you. Therefore, the shadows now, look at the shadows. The sun is circling above your head. The shadows are telling you that, and the path of the sun is telling you that. You're not living on a spinning ball. So the problem is with the education system that most people are just completely unobservant. They go through their whole life thinking they're well educated, but they cannot see simple observations that they should be able to. You'll have a grown man and he'll have the observation skills of a little child. So there's a problem. So, right, here's some footage. The sun and moon orbits above you. If you're on a ball, right, and that ball is rotating, there's your frame of reference. Doesn't matter where you put this camera, you cannot see the sun rise and set in front of you. You can put this camera wherever you want on this ball. It's not possible. And you can rotate this ball. You cannot see the sun for 12 hours in front of you and the moon for 12 hours in front of you. It's not possible. So from the frame of reference from the camera, right, if you're orbiting, you can't see the sun and the moon for that 12 hours each. You need to see the sun for the 12 hours and the moon for the 12 hours. Doesn't matter where you put the camera, you can't see the sun and moon rise and set in the same frame of reference. So you're not living on a spinning ball. Logical. Look, why do you keep a bird in a cage? You clip its wings or you educate it to return to the cage. For what purpose? Is it for protection or control? It's control. The thing is, yeah, that the cage is just a bullshit barrier. It's not real. The cage is not real. But most people will go back to that cage because they trust in that cage. They think the cage is protecting them. Meantime, it's doing the opposite. It's controlling you. That's the education system. It's a bullshit barrier. Right? Most people are happy in their little cage, but there are some of us, like most flat earthers, don't want to be in that cage and will ask the right questions. And think. So if you're happy in your cage, good luck with that. Right, so let's look at inception. The establishment, the education system. Right? For what purpose? But control. So let's have a look at the movie clip and let's add that information to what we're learning.
Right? Now, in a dream, our mind continuously does this. We create and perceive our world simultaneously, and our mind does this so well that we don't even know what's happening. That allows us to get right in the middle of that process.
How?
By taking over the creating part. Now, this is where I need you. You create the world of the dream. We bring the subject into that dream.
Right? So they create the world, right, and the education system, and they just bring the subjects into that little world. It's a dream world. It's not real. So they've got their educators. They're just cartoon actors. This fellow, the ass Tyson, is a dumbass. He's an actor, right? He's a snake, a puppet. It's not real. He's just spewing out bullshit, right, to bamboozle you. That's his job. And if you take your time and you look at the evidence, you'll see the moon rise, circle, and set in front of the camera. Right? It's simple. So it's flat. It's not moving. That's how you can see the sun rise and set and the moon rise and set in front of your same frame of reference.
With their subconscious.
How could I ever acquire enough detail to make them think that it's reality?
Well, dreams, they feel real while we're in them, right? It's only when we wake up that we realize something was actually strange.
Right, so it's time for you to wake up. How can you be standing on that ball, there's your frame of reference, and see the sun and the moon orbit in front of you while you're standing on that same ball? As soon as you start thinking and you see things are strange, you start what? Waking up. Right, so I'm an artist, cinematographer, photographer. I'm going to use reflections and a path of the sun to help and illustrate to you how you can tell that the earth is flat and it's the sun that's moving. So look at the reflections of the clouds. When the sun rises, it rises due to perspective. It comes towards you, right? Because the light converges in your human eye, the same as a camera, and it orbits around you, and the sun moves away and it sets on the horizon in front of you. You don't turn around. You stay looking in the same direction. That means the earth is flat and the sun and moon are orbiting above your head because you are facing the same direction.
World is flat, they say. In the mirror I gaze.
Right, so let's bring the sun back.
Truth
Look
is
at the
what
reflection.
I see.
If you're on a ball,
In reality's place.
where must your reflection be? Must be in front of you. Your reflection, as the cameraman, your reflection would be in front of you. But where would the reflection of the sun be? Can't be in front of you, it must be on the other side of the ball. So how can you stand and see the sun above your head and its reflection in a lake in front of you, or the moon? It means the earth's flat. It's simple. Let's add your frame of reference to that point. How can you see the sun and moon rise in front of you in your frame of reference? How can you see the sun and moon rise in front of you in the same frame of reference, and your reflection of the sun and moon is in front of you? That can only happen because why? Well, the earth's flat. It's simple. Right.
What's the truth unfurled? Mirrors, shattered view. What's a lie, what's true? In a world so wide, flat with edges tight. Journey to the brink ends in endless nights. Truth is fragile, thin, like a shattered pane. Mirrors show the cracks in our minds'
So look,
domain.
here's the point why the education system works, why people get trapped. Because they use truth as a bait, right? And there's a bigger trap. The trap is the lie, and the truth is a bait. So in the education system, they're going to give you some truths. So the way to tell is to step back and look at the big picture. Let's look at the big apple, right? If someone tells you a small lie, but that small lie cost your life, right? Is it a small lie? Here's the big apple, right? There's Apollyon, Apollo, or Satan, right? He's the big hero in this system of things. So how do you prevent yourself from being trapped? You need to look at the bigger picture. When Jesus Christ was referring to Satan and what happened in the Garden of Eden, right? So you don't have to believe in that, but bear with me, we can learn from this. He called Satan a murderer, because that's what the outcome was. It cost Adam and Eve, me and you, our life. Mass murderer. So how was Eve deceived? Right? And a lot of people read this in Genesis, but they don't actually see what the issue was and how it happened. So we're going to focus on how it happened. Some people say, no, the apple was sex and Satan had sex with... No, it's just a lot of nonsense. Forget that rubbish. Look, it's how Eve was deceived. There were two trees, the tree of life and the tree of death. And Adam and Eve were told, don't eat from the tree of death. That was the instruction. Now, how did Satan, or the serpent, circumvent that? How did he cunningly bypass the big picture? And it's the same how a trap works. You see, they misdirect you. They don't discuss the other tree, the tree of life. Okay, there's nothing to see here. And they focus on the fruit. The fruit is good to eat. Well, yes. They tell you the truth. There was nothing wrong with the fruit. That wasn't the issue. The fruit is good to eat. And then the lie. You will not die. That's what happened. They tell you a truth, and then they tell you a lie. The fruit was good to eat. That wasn't the issue. So how then was Eve deceived? Most people don't get it. Look, here's a tree. It has lies and truth in this tree. It's a tree of good and bad. Let's say this tree is science. If science is telling you truth and lies, would you go and eat from this tree? No. Can this tree give you life? No. Right. Let's apply this to what happened with Adam and Eve. Especially Eve. How was Eve deceived? It's a simple. You can't eat from both trees. If you eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and bad, you will not be permitted to eat from the tree of life. And so Adam and Eve had to eat from the tree of life to keep living. If you read Genesis 3 verse 22, it makes it clear. You can't eat from both trees. You either eat from the tree of life or you eat from the tree of death. If you eat from the tree of death, well, you die. You are not permitted to go now and eat from the tree of life. And is it still applicable today? Yes, well, in Revelation, right? Blessed are those who wash their robes white in the blood of the Lamb. They will have the legal right to eat from the tree of life. So the tree of life still exists. But outside are the sorcerers and those who love practicing lying and deception. So look at the big picture. What is actually happening? Let's illustrate it this way. Can the deception ever be justified? No. If I have a scale and I put a lie in the scale, what do you put on the other side to balance the scale? A truth? No. You can't balance a truth and a lie. That's the knowledge of good and bad. No. No matter what you put there, whatever truth you put there, you have to reject the scale. You can only put truth and truth on a scale. Right? They carry the same weight. It doesn't matter how big a truth is or how small a truth is. It carries the same weight. Truth and truth. That's justice. So if science is giving you bullshit mixed with truth and you eat it, do you think it's going to benefit you? They'll tell you that the human eye and the brain evolved. Taught as a fact. That's complete nonsense. Common sense tells you for the eye and the brain to work together, they have to both function 100%. Same with the lion. If the lion's eyes aren't working, he starves, no matter how good his brain is. If his brain's not working, he'll never catch his prey. Both have to be fully functional, and there's no place for evolution in them to work. So evolution is a lie. It's just, if you want to be deceived, you go ahead and be deceived. Alright, so if you want to live in the bullshit barrier, you want to live in the cage, it's not my problem, it's your problem. Anyway, I hope this video has helped you out. Cheers and thanks for watching.